All right, let's talk about this USC Michigan game, Zach. Well, I guess really fast. John Jacobs, he said, is Indiana going to beat Maryland next week? He's thinking about betting his children's tuition money. Zach, it's
Don't
all
do
on
that.
you. It's
Don't
all.
do
Should
that.
he bet his children's tuition money?
No,
Okay,
no.
but you, but
Especially,
but you're predicting a win.
I don't know yet. I need to look
Okay,
at. I need to look at things.
okay, all
Most
right. Come
likely,
back.
I'm predicting a
Come
win.
back for the preview on Tuesday. We'll let you know if you should bet your children's tuition money. We're leaning no right now, but you know.
I mean, I'm leaning no for the whole thing. Don't bet tuition money. What are you doing? Sorry, keep going.
I love it. I love it. All right. USC, Michigan. Michigan beats USC 27-24 in dramatic Big Ten opener, scoring the game-winning touchdown with just 37 seconds left. Kalel Mullins powered Michigan's victory, running in his second touchdown from 2 yards out on a 4th and goal play. Michigan initially led 14-0, but USC fought back and got the game to 24-20 in USC's favor. The fourth quarter on Miller Moss's third touchdown pass, a 24-yarder to Jacoby Lane. Mullins rushed for a career high 159 yards, including a rush of 63 yards on the final drive of the game. Look, they had Michigan dead to rights. I mean,
Yep.
USC had Michigan dead. There was nothing they could do. They couldn't pass the ball. They couldn't do anything. And Kalel Mullins got loose. USC had him wrapped up. They had him wrapped up, and he still muscled, powered his way through. Zach, we'll talk about USC here in a minute, but Michigan squeaks by. Is this like only run the ball game? Is this sustainable? Yankee was in the chat last night. He was telling us this is sustainable. This is going to take them far, and they're going to have a good team this year. Is this sustainable? What's your thoughts?
No, it is not sustainable. People forget that the reason why that legend, a lot of Michigan fans see it as legendary against Penn State, the 32 straight runs. You want to know why they were able to do that? Because you had a quarterback who could actually throw over the top. And
Yep.
you had a much better offensive line, and you had a much deeper rotation in your defense. It's not sustainable. You need something out of the passing game because your margin for error just shrink. We see it with Iowa. Yes, Iowa just crushed Minnesota, but the reason why they lost to Iowa State is because when the running game got stopped, Iowa State could score, and they everything shut down at that point. You have to have a changeup. This is going to leave some indication of what I think about USC, but I'm just saying this does not bode well. At least for them being in the upper echelon of the Big Ten.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think looking at it, it's a really, really nice story. It's like the Penn State story last year, right? Where they just completely abandoned the pass in the second half and just went straight for the run, and it worked really well. I think, unfortunately, for Michigan, I'm not gonna say they got lucky because they definitely deserved, the run, and
Yep.
they were tough and strong and did a great job. I don't think you can rely on getting up 14-0 every single game. I don't think you can rely on a 63-yard touchdown, or not touchdown run, a 63-yard run to set you up on the final drive every single time. And I don't think you can rely on a Will Johnson interception pick six every single time. I mean, Will Johnson got hurt in that game. We'll see if he's back next week. Maybe that passing game gets better when Colston Loveland returns, but that passing game, it needs to be something, because you did well against USC, and I think USC was blanked a little bit in the beginning, even though they knew Alex Orji was starting. That offense was still run differently, and I don't think they were expecting some of it. I don't know how you weren't expecting them to just run the ball. You've seen Alex Orji throw, but apparently it got him. But at the end of the day, Michigan, props to them on this win.
Yep.
But I think you have to develop some kind of passing game. Once Colston Loveland comes back, it'll be helpful, but you have to develop some kind of passing game. Otherwise, there's just gonna be got 9 guys in the box every single time, and there are teams that tackle better than USC.
Yes. Yeah.
So
agreed.
All right, so Zach, let's talk about USC for a second. What was USC's biggest deficiency in this game they must address? I can think of 2 or 3. What was the biggest one for you?
I think lines and tackling. I think a lot and I've been saying it since the LSU game, that I thought they punched up against LSU. They outcoached LSU. but LSU was the better roster, and that bore out in this game. Like US, and I think Lincoln Riley made a couple of questionable calls, but Lincoln Riley is coaching a team that has a talent deficiency on the lines and in defense. The defense reminds me actually a little bit of 2022 Ohio State, where you get Jim Knowles, you're so excited, and early on it looks like that things are fixed, and then you start to realize, oh, like it's not just that people are learning the system, but there are probably guys in the wrong spots and maybe guys who aren't even not talented enough. Um, I think USC is there. And I think they got a little lucky against LSU that Brian Kelly forgot he had running backs. And then against this game, Michigan's not going to forget that they have running backs. Right?
No, they're not.
And then I mean the lines, I mean Miller Moss is a dude, and like he hung in there and he got hit hard, and he hung in there well, but neither line really held up well, I thought, against Michigan's line play. And only until I think the second half, Lincoln Riley both adjusted, and also I think Michigan's defense started to get tired because the depth isn't there. But that's when they were able to start to find more rhythm in their offense.
Yeah. For me, the biggest thing was the offensive line, right? If if Miller Moss just had more time, he would have been able to, I think, pick apart the secondary. And I'm not trying to say the secondary was bad, but Will Johnson did eventually lead this game. When you have
Yeah.
only Makari Page back there, when he is your only, I shouldn't say their only good player. Amir Hall is decent, but when he is back there, and when Will Johnson is not back there, I apologize. That secondary definitely has some holes, and it doesn't have the threat of the INT for a pick six like it normally does when Will Johnson is there. But that defensive line, I don't think USC has the worst offensive line in the world. Do I think it's okay? Yes, but that's what Michigan's defensive line will do to an okay offensive line.
Yep.
And that is what, in my mind, this is my takeaway. In my mind, as long as Michigan's defensive line is playing like that, you have a shot to beat any team.
Yep.
Any team. Not just in the Big Ten. If your defensive line is playing the way that Michigan's played in this game, you have a shot to beat any team in the nation. And for me, that's why my takeaway is that, like, one of my other takeaways is that Michigan, they are still among the elite in college football right now because they have an elite defensive line, and that is going to carry you far. Now, are you able to counter that? Sure. And teams that do counter that are going to be able to beat Michigan. But until that happens, I can't say that Michigan is not among the elite. And I know what people are going to say. It happened against Texas. I get that. Texas has one of the best offensive lines in all college football, and that proves that if you are able to have one of the best offensive lines, it's going to happen. But that's the thing. Nobody else out there, in my mind, has an offensive line like Texas right now. They might develop it. They might get better. But as long as that defensive line is playing the way they did against the against USC, Michigan's still elite in my mind.
Yeah. And well, can you further define elite? Because that word makes me like I'm like ready to say I don't agree with you, but I'm also like curious. Define that more.
A team that is elite in college football today can win a quarterfinal playoff game.
Okay. I think I can be on board with that then. Yeah, because
I'm not saying they're like a shoe-in to beat Georgia or anything like that, but I think
yeah.
you get Michigan up against the Big 12 champ or the ACC champ in the playoffs, I think they have a good chance of winning that game.
Well, and to your point, I don't know if I like the matchup of Josiah Stewart lining up over Josh Fryer.
Yeah, that's not great.
No, like this D line will give everybody remaining on their schedule problems, including Oregon and Ohio State.
Unless your running back strips the ball from the defensive tackle. In that case, you got a chance.
That was a heck of a play, by the way, by Woody Marks.
Awesome. Man, what a play by him.
Yeah.
it really does stink for USC that they lost, because that would have gone down in the record books as, like, not record books, as, like, in the Hall of Fame books, as, like, one of the best plays in USC history.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, it's not like in a championship game or something like that, but just, I mean, I know how Ohio State fans feel about that Maurice Clarett play when he took the ball away after the interception. Like, man, that would go down as just one of the craziest plays. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so overall, I think USC deserves to be ranked right behind Michigan, because I think
Yeah.
USC had that game, but I think Michigan just did the right things, and they played some better ball in certain areas that got them to be able to be where they were to win the game. And USC has to take a tumble for that, but at the same time, USC was on the road, so Michigan had the home environment. We'll see what happens, but that's what I
Yeah.
got for now.